What if we could turn the classic first-person shooter game Doom into a musical instrument using Max? Just like totally die immediately? The first thing we need to know is that Doom has what I would call a verbose output into the terminal. That is, when you run GZ Doom on a laptop, it is sending any one of those messages that prints in the game right into the console. As soon as I noticed that, I realized I have a tunnel of data that I can work with, and I can send that data into Max to produce sound. That's actually a little horrifying, don't you think? And this is just still a proof of concept Max patch and video, so right now not everything is as organized as I would like it to be, but this is a work in progress. Nonetheless, I'll explain briefly what's happening. By the way, you can download this Max patch on my GitHub, and then also my personal website, and they're all linked. So I'll include that in this video. Anyway, so basically, how does this work? Well, as I said in the short introduction, GZ Doom, when you're running it, I'm running it on my Mac. Well, anytime something is displayed on the screen in the game, like you got the shotgun, or you grabbed a medikit, something like that, it actually prints that to the terminal if you launch GZ Doom from the terminal. I noticed that when I was playing, and I thought that was pretty interesting, that it's actually going to send text, the same text, to the terminal. So thinking about that, I realized that I could use GZ Doom's ability to create a log file, which is native to GZ Doom, and then I could just ask Max to go and read that text file that's being updated in real time. So basically, this section of the patch is actually just fetching new messages from that Doom log file. I have a subpatcher here, which you can explore, that has some of these different file paths. This is a fake file path I used just to see if I could change it easily from outside. But basically, it's just sending that information forward in the patch. I'm gonna make my face stay here. Okay, so when I have an easy, and I'll explain this, bear with me. When I have a very simple string of text that I want to trigger an event, well, it goes into here. The messages all go here. And these are some of the messages that may be printed to the terminal and then the log file too. So picked up the armor. This is the exact syntax. Picked up a stim pack, right? Now the number next to it, it means that when this message is received, that number is going to be sent out. So to explain, if you got the shotgun, if that happens in the game, it's literally going to send a 2 right here. That's going to bang, in Max parlance, it's going to bang that number down through to select, and then whenever select hears 2, it's going to send a bang through the bang I've indicated here. This is more of a debugging bang, just to make sure that it's actually receiving the message and sending the bang. And then it's going to trigger some kind of event that I've put down here. In this case, shotgun, I believe, is triggering, I know it's a little bit of a soup. Bang if input matches 2, that's the one we want. And yeah, it's a little crazy in here, isn't it? But yeah, it's going to send a 1 here. It's basically going to play this sound file. That's what I have. Some of the other ones are going into a playlist here of random things. I'm sorry, you can see some of my notes to myself here. I'm going to leave these in the proof of concept patch. But these are just the stock sounds that come with Max, right? So it's just going to trigger a random one. And yeah, I decided to program it that way. Now hold on, if you want to use this patch and turn Doom into a instrument yourself, well, you can just route that differently and make it trigger some kind of other event. Okay, so what about messages that are not as easily parsable? Because I want to observe here that the messages, these are pretty simple, right? They really don't have any extra symbols. There's a period at the end or an exclamation point. Pretty straightforward. What if you get a string of data that has more information? Well, it needs to be parsed in order to be understood and read by Max. So that's where we get into this messy spot with some regex. And your dear host of this video is still learning more about regex and how to parse the information in the most effective way. So let me explain. Some of the information that can come through in a Doom session is, well, we could have information about an enemy. So I've mapped to one of my controls on my controller the ability to just point the cursor at an enemy and then hit the button, and it'll tell me the name of the enemy, how much health it has, and then what its max health is. And so from that, I see 3 bits of interesting data. Actually 4 really. So I have the name of the enemy, which can be parsed to trigger some kind of event. I have the current health, which could trigger an event or be sent through the system. I have the max health, again, could fill in stuff. Or I have the percentage of remaining health, which I've also parsed, and I'm going to show you in a second. But the first thing I need to do is get some of these data points isolated. So here's an example. This one, I have several here. Cacodemon, health 500, spawn health 1000. This is classic Cacodemon right here. So, yep, this is sending the information through here, and then I'm getting a rounded percentage of how much health is left, right? So the Cacodemon has 500, and we have half. I'm probably going to flesh this out more and actually get a more accurate float value for the percentage. But yeah, that's basically how it's parsing it. Pretty neat. It's going into the dictionary and then sending that to the code box and then sending that out. And have I fully decided what it'll do? No, but it exists and it's able to parse the data to be used. That you could use it. Doesn't have to be me, but you could use that data to actually create another layer of manipulation. This can get like in the minutia, right? Where like imagine you want to trigger a certain event purposefully, and so you're going to use the pistol or you're going to use the brass knuckles just to weaken an enemy, step back, and then query how much health is remaining, and to get a very deliberate reading. It's possible. It can also just be accidental. I've experimented with that, running through a level and just kind of spamming the button and seeing what happens. Anyway, so yeah, one of the biggest challenges in parsing this data was getting this down here to play ball. Now, this is how the text reads. Current player position, parentheses, then we have XYZ coordinates, then we have angle, just angle on the x-axis, and then floor height, sector, etc. Now, notice that each little piece of data is separated by a comma. And commas get really tricky in Max. If you've ever tried to parse a string in Max and get the commas out in order to isolate pieces of it, it's really hard. And before you say, what about regex? The commas won't come out in regex. The problem that was happening is that the way Max separates strings is if you click on this and were to print it to the console, it would print current player position numbers, comma. Angle, number, float, comma, right? You'd have all of those as separate messages, and you'd end up with actor light level -1 as being really the last message, which is the one that it's going to parse. It's going to isolate it, right? And so this gets a little sticky. How do I get the commas out? Because they are also a reserved character in Max. And that is the central problem, is that commas are reserved. I went through a lot of different experiments to attempt to get it out. And you can see some of those experiments. I've actually left some of them in. The only one that was successful was this one right here. And I'm leaving it in as a proof of concept, just because I'm proud of the work. So if I click on this and send it through, what I basically am trying to do is just get these, for now, just these guys separated. Because when I go back up here, it was easier to separate floor height, angle, sector. It was easier to get those little incidental moments of data. But you can see here, like, this one doesn't quite do it. It won't do it. It tries to put out actor light level, is what it tries to put out. So down here, this is the one that works. Let me explain. So there's just a little bit of math where I'm just affecting the timing of things with delays just to get them to work in sequence in a way that that's going to be dynamic and responsive to the gameplay, so that when one comes through, it clears the one that's already there and replaces it. I can't have it just appending, because then it'll just be full of text and not usable. That's all these delays, DEL with milliseconds, are for. Now, the way you get the commas out is a text object. There's lots of objects that receive text in Max, like collection, right? But text is one that it automatically, in its basic coding under the hood in Max, takes the commas out. And so I'm basically just sending it into text and then dumping it out. And then the regex that doesn't have to use commas will work. I stumbled across this, firstly, I'll say, by noticing that if I went back to the string and I replaced certain commas, like if I replaced this one and this one with periods, with dots, I could make the regex see them. But if they were commas, doing like // comma was not going to work, because it's reserved. And so this is the way to get rid of the commas. I hope this reaches somebody on the internet, because I noticed a lot of folks with questions, in some cases almost 10 years old, questions on the Max forums about how to get the commas out of a string. And this is the only way I've found that really always works. Anyway, so yeah, once the commas are out, this regex expression, which I know I'm being redundant when I say that, but this regex command is working to create a packed numbers. I unpack them as floats, and then they are. So that way I can actually ping my location when I'm playing the game and use that information. Now that information can be passed on to change some effect parameters. And the way I have this set up, yeah, I put my text file over here. So pardon what I said a second ago. I meant that this regex expression by itself will not work, but passing through the text, it does. So it's gonna send those values down through here. I have it just to set absolute value. I have this multiplier just to make it more manageable as a float, like a smaller value. Yeah. So, how does it work? Well, let's try it out. It works pretty well. I want to see if I can screen record and do it because it's a lot of tasks. So, okay, so I'm here in a game of GZ Doom, and I'm going to open the console with the tilde key, and I'm going to create a log file, and this is the path for me. And doomtest.txt. Log started. Okay, now that's the same file that the max patch. Aha, and there's a sound. Now right now it's very simple. It's just triggering default sounds that come with max. It's like I said. There's one. Rain stick. Now when no target is found, I've made it play with the delays. So when a sound comes through, I'm tapping the button to get no target found because I want to play with the delay. So right now, like I said, it's triggering a random sound, but I could send each one of these. There we go. There we are. Woo! And right now it's a little bit of a chaos machine, isn't it? That's interesting. That's actually a little horrifying, don't you think? And so, next level, I'll do just a little more. Woo! Yeah. Can you believe I actually had to like play Doom to practice ahead of this video just to make sure I don't just like totally die immediately? Because I'm also trying to time my events a certain way. Well, that's kind of horrifying. I think it adds to the ambiance right now, don't you think? Okay, let me just get this red key, then I'll. Can you tell I enjoy playing Doom? Okay. Okay, so I'll end the gameplay right here. Okay, and so there it is. It basically works. Pretty neat. Now, I'm still working on this. I'm also, if I plug in my controller, it can also receive controller data using the gamepad device, but I haven't really used that just yet to integrate into the patch, but it's present. You can download this patch from my website or my GitHub, and I'm going to include that in the description of this video. So I hope that this was illuminating as a proof of concept video, just to describe what it is this crazy thing is doing. And you're free to use it however you want to. I know the parsing's a little hard to follow right now, but if you just kind of follow the spaghetti trail here, you'll be able to find where the information is going, and you can use it yourself. In the future videos, I'm going to keep working on this and keep cleaning it up and making it actually a bit more predictable in its execution. Could it be a chaos machine? Sure, great, sure. But I'm really interested in using it to algorithmically generate melodies and then execute them under certain conditions. Anyway, please leave a comment, or you can subscribe for more weird content like this. And yeah, I look forward to hearing what those of you who are brave enough to download this and give it a shot. I'm looking forward to hearing what you make with it. Anyway, till next time.